Hello everybody, it's good to be back with you again, at least in video. This portion of our 8-hour updates for Laurel County Transportation will be mine. I'm Marshall Raney. I'm Area Coordinator for Laurel County Public Schools, and my basic job duties involve daily operations, student management issues, pretty much everything concerning what you do on a daily basis with your bus, with your students, and all your relations there. So again, it's good to be with you, at least in video, maybe not in person yet. So hopefully one day that will happen again. We're just waiting to see what the verdict is as far as all of these situations that we have with COVID-19 and all of these things. We've seen a lot this spring, this summer, going into the fall. We're still dealing with it. We've absolutely been put out of our comfort zone, and that is 100% for sure. But one of the old Marine mottos is to adapt and adjust. And if you can adapt and adjust, you can get through anything. And that is exactly what we are doing. We are adapting and adjusting, sometimes on a daily basis, as these things change in a very fluid manner, and we have to just kind of deal with everything as it comes. We got two choices. I mean, you can face it pessimistically or optimistically. I'd rather face these challenges optimistically and maybe use it as a chance to grow a little bit, and to be put out of our comfort zones is not necessarily a bad thing. So we'll see, and I want to meet the challenges and face the challenges that we have with optimism and with hope that we'll learn something, that everybody will stay safe, and that we will be able to grow from this whole experience. We have been very busy this spring and this summer, past our meal deliveries and our packet deliveries. We've been updating just about everything. We've updated our road listings. We've updated Traversa. We've been updating Zonar. We've been updating all of our records, and we're probably, I think, in my opinion, the best shape we've ever been in as far as records and record keeping, and all of our information is probably more accurate and more up to date than it ever has been. So there has been some positive things come out of this break. Not many, but there's been quite a few positives, and one is that we've been able to get our foot on the ground in a really definite manner and be in a good spot to go forward for this year and meet the challenge in front of us. Again, my primary responsibility, again, my name is Marshall Raney. I'm Area Coordinator, and my primary responsibility is to oversee all the daily operations of the department. And Todd, myself, Rob, Victoria, Daisy, Mark, Chris, Brittany, we're all here to help you succeed in your job and the difficult job that you have at times to do. We're here to help you. You should never be out there and feel alone, especially for our new drivers. You know, I want to communicate to you that I am here for you, and we are here for you at all times to give you the resources and the information you need to do your job and support you in every way that we can. We are always busy. You know, our department is one of the busiest, and we're busy every single day, but we're not too busy to help. And if I can't talk to you right now, I will get back with you as soon as possible, and I will call you back. If I can't talk to you right then and I'm not able to pick up on your call, I will call you back and get back with you in some way, form, or fashion. And because what you have to say and what you're doing is very important to us, very important to me, and we want you to know that you are supported and we're here for you, and in every way that we can be. You are not alone when you're out there. Remember that. When you're out there on the road driving with those kids, you have a tremendous amount of support here in the offices and here in the transportation department, starting with Mr. Cox on down. And so I want to go over as quickly as I can operations and what that entails, and talk about student management included in that. You know, I appreciate very, very much the job that you did last year, keeping your buses clean, the way that you managed your students, the accuracy that we had in reporting, turning in your timesheets on time, giving me all the reports and everything that we asked for in a timely fashion. That's very important, and it speaks well of you as drivers, and we do appreciate that very, very much. We appreciate the job that you do. It's not easy. I spent time driving a route myself and was a sub driver at one time, so you know, we fully and completely, as most of us were, and we fully and completely understand, you know, the challenges that you face and the difficulties that your job presents. But we appreciate you, and we want you to know that, and we want to communicate that, as Mr. Cox already has in the first segment of this 8-hour update. But I want to start off talking about with operations, one of the least favored subjects that we can talk about, and that is paperwork. Everybody loves paperwork. Not nobody likes paperwork. It's cumbersome sometimes. It's frustrating. It's meticulous. It's all kinds of words that we could use for paperwork. But the main word that we need to use about paperwork is that it's necessary, and some of it is required by law. So we need to make sure that we are doing our paperwork. Not only are we just doing our paperwork, but that we're doing it in an accurate fashion, that we're completing whatever it is we have in front of us, our timesheets, our reports, whatever kind of paperwork there is for you to do. We do appreciate accuracy and professionalism in handing that in and giving that to us in a timely fashion, in a complete fashion, and doing the best you can there in the paperwork. And there's a lot of paperwork being a bus driver. Many people wouldn't believe that or know it, but it is. We've got timesheets. We've got absentee sheets to keep up with our absentees and sick cards. We've got discipline reports. We've got accident reports. We've got incident reports. We have seating charts. We have route sheets. We've got all of our personnel information that we've got to keep up with. Tree and road reports. A start bomb violation reports. I mean, we are full of reports, that is for sure. But we do appreciate, you know, your accuracy and keeping up with those as much as, you know, you possibly can. One thing I want to talk about right now is timesheets, and I'm going to put some examples up here on the screen for you as far as timesheets. These are old hat for most of us. I mean, you've turned in a timesheet ever since you've been with transportation. They've changed a little bit over time, but essentially are still the same. For the new drivers, the timesheets are due on Friday afternoon, if at all possible. We will accept them early Monday morning, but that's the exact, you know, that's the latest that we would accept timesheets. So we need them turned in Friday afternoon or Monday morning. Just remember this, that with your timesheet, it is a legal document that needs to be filled out completely, properly, and with a signature. We report these to payroll at central office, and it pretty much demands accuracy. So when you're filling out your timesheets, if we go back to that, I'll speak to that in a minute, but when you're filling out your timesheets, if you would just do it completely. I'm going to put some examples up on the screen right now. You'll see a timesheet right now that shows you the top section of the timesheet. Fill out your name, fill out your bus number, fill out the elementary school that you drive out of, whether it's Bush, Johnson, Hunter Hills, it doesn't matter. Whatever your name, your bus number, your elementary school. Also make sure that you put on there your employee ID number. If you don't have that, I have it available for you and can remind you of it. And also, don't forget to check whether it's a north or south route, whether you're a sub driver, trainer, or whatever. We need you to fill that top portion out accurately. Also, along the sides of the timesheet portion where you would fill in your time is the dates. I need you to fill out those dates. The best format for that is month and day. So if it's in August, it would be 08/01. That's usually the best format to use to fill out your time. Your year's already included at the top of the timesheet, so that's not necessary. So in that top portion, you would fill out your time. For most, it's 6 to 8:15, 2:30 to 4:30, which represents 4¼ hours. And so that would be a good general time for everybody. I know some of you veterans and some of you have longer routes and require different time signatures, especially the teachers do as well, and we're aware of that, and all of you know pretty much how, but I do want to go over that. In the middle section there also, I would like you to put the dates there on that side also, just to recognize that you've looked at that section, and if you don't have any extra time, the middle section is meant for your extra time in the morning, in the middle of the day, and then in the afternoon. And if you don't have any extra time, that's fine. Just draw a line through those blank boxes just so that we know. Just make a little check mark or draw a line through it or something just to know that you've looked at it and you're intentionally leaving that blank. At the bottom, you'll find a place for your field trips, your reimbursements, your after-school learning club time. Fill that out completely and accurately, in whatever ways we instruct. And that can be done individually. And of course, at the bottom, the most important part of your timesheet is your signature, and please put that on there. Now, during this outbreak of COVID-19 and the special situations we've had, we filled them out for you, where you were able to do digital signatures. Going forward this year, we are actually going to do pre-filled timesheets for you. So you'll have a pre-filled timesheet with your name and everything on it that I just described, as far as your regular time, the dates, all the information at the top. And all you will need to fill out is your extra time, your trip time, any reimbursements or anything other than your normal time. So we will have those pre-filled out for you each week. You can pick those up in your mailbox here in the lounge, and you can get those timesheets, and then you can sign them and turn them back in the boxes on my door. I have a box on my door for north, a box on south, and a box for pre-trips on my door, where you'll turn all that paperwork back in. So that's pretty much it for our timesheets. I want to move along as fast as I can. I've got a lot to talk about. Don't forget about your absentee request. If you're going to be absent for any reason, we have all of these forms that I'm talking about right now are available in the lounge, which is right outside my door. It's in the window there. All of the forms that you need are there. They're available all the time. We do our best to keep those full and available for you. But if you're going to miss for any reason, whether it's personal time, sick time, whatever it may be, you need to fill out an absentee request. Turn that in as soon as you know you're going to need to be off, so that we can schedule that and I can properly get you a sub driver and be able to prepare that sub for your route. But you need to complete it. Obviously, sign it. There's a place for a signature in the middle of it, and then turn your sick card with that. Let me quickly move to discipline and write-ups, and I'm going to mention it here, and then we're going to come back to it here just in a minute. But we do, part of our student management responsibilities and daily operations is student management. And one of the things that we need to do is discipline. Now, we don't actually do discipline on the bus. We actually report. And so we do have a disciplinary action report that you'll need a disciplinary form that you'll need to fill out, not action yet, that you'll need to fill out and turn back in to me. This year we were on track for about 1,300 to 1,600 write-ups and warnings as far as the district is concerned, which is about double from what we had last year. That necessarily doesn't bother me, because with discipline, we want it reported. If something's going on your bus, we want to know about it. We want to know what your students are doing, and if they're misbehaving, if you've got problems and issues between students and among students, we want to know about those things. And if they are breaking the student code of conduct, that's where you're going to report that on a write-up. These are being tracked through PBS and PBIS, I should say. And we're looking at those very deeply, and we're trying to do a better job of reporting and trying to do a better job of management on the front end. PBIS is positive behavior and intervention support, so system, I should say. And anyway, we're trying to do a better job of getting in front of those. There will be only one sheet required. Used to, we'd have 3 or 4 sheets for discipline reports. We only have now one sheet. It's a copied sheet. Make sure that you make yourself a copy. We need this for verification, of the behavior. You sign it, put your date on it. We need these turned in and done in a very timely manner. So The other thing that we are looking at here is, as far as reporting is concerned, I'm going to return to discipline and talk about that included with student management. The other thing that we're talking about of reports is student accident reports and student incident reports. So let's say that you have a situation on your bus where you have something that happened between students. It may or may not warrant a write-up. It could be an interaction that you have written up between you as a driver and a student, and you want some more. You want some more documentation of that incident that happened. So our incident reports, which are available here in the office, are there for you to make a written report of something that happened on the bus that concerned you and another student, or you and a group of students. It has a place on there for witnesses. It has a long place in the middle there for a description, and a place for your signature, my signature, and it gives us a place to officially report any kind of incidents that happen on the bus that may or may not require a write-up. So please report everything like this immediately in writing. Whether it's an accident or an incident, whether it's discipline, we need that reported as soon as possible. Don't sit on it for 2 or 3 days and then turn it in and think that's okay. That's not okay. There are some very serious situations that we deal with on a regular basis that need to be reported immediately. While I'm here talking about immediately reporting, if you have a threat on your bus of any kind, if a student is threatening harm to himself or threatening harm to another student, no matter the age, young or older students, it doesn't matter, report that to us immediately. You can report it to me, and if you can't get a hold of me, call Todd or Rob or whoever's at dispatch and report that. Report that verbally first, and then of course you'll want to follow that up in writing for the next day. But anytime there's a threat of violence or self-injury or any kind of threat or any kind of serious issue like that, we want to make sure that we're reporting that immediately. Again, those forms are required, and they are here in the office available for you. Student accident reports: a student gets hurt on your bus, they fall down in the aisle, they fall down getting off the bus. We want to make sure we're reporting that as well. Come in and I'll assist you fill those out, and we'll fill those out in detail, and I'll help you make sure it gets to where it needs to get. Again, we're here to support you. There are tree and road reports that we have. If you have an issue on the road, if the road's in bad shape, a big pothole's formed, your turnaround is in bad shape, and you need gravel, or there's any kind of tree or road issues, we've got a report for that. Report it as soon as possible. Again, I'll get it to the road department, and if there's no action within a reasonable amount of time, let me know and we'll get that done. This year also in routing is a very another place that we have paperwork. This year we've been able to update Traversa. Brittany and I have been working together on getting the routes in Traversa, every route. We are almost complete at this moment, at this date right now. We're almost complete with putting all the routes in, and that's more than we've been able to do in a long time. Brittany did a great job helping me with that, and we put those routes in available for you. Now we've printed them out. We're going to put those in your mailboxes. And we want you to pick that route printout up, and we need you to review it, look over it for accuracy. Now, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have to go back and tweak each route. I'm going to have to go back and make little changes. One of the things that Traversa does automatically is it takes us down every road. And if you find those kind of issues on the routing sheet that we'll give you out of Traversa, I expect that. And just make a note on it so that I can put it in there, change it, and keep that route up to date as possible. If you have a route change at any time during the year and you're a regular driver, please make sure you report those route changes as soon as possible. We also are going to ask you to do something else beyond that. We're going to work on identifying any kind of stop or any kind of unload or load situation that you might feel is uncomfortable, unsafe, or that needs to be changed. Of course, in the district, we want to make sure as much as possible, and it's not always possible, but 99% of the time it is possible, to board students on the door side on your route. make every effort you can to make sure you make sure that those students board on that door side. That's the safest, most sure way that you're going to ensure safety for that student. If you are boarding students from the opposite side of the road and they're having to cross the road, make sure you're teaching those students those procedures for crossing the road. We don't want that. We're trying to eliminate it. But teach them the procedures, show them what to do, communicate to your students often about that. But if you have something that's a stop that's uncomfortable, that doesn't feel safe to you, it's around a curve, there's a blind hill, there's a tree in my way, I can't see properly, there's not enough distance for a car to stop, let me know. Write that down on that route sheet. Any stop that you would feel was unsafe, we will review it, and I will look at your route, and we'll make a decision about changing it and making it as safe as we can for your students to get on and off the bus. It's very, very important. Obviously, safety first, schedule second has been our motto for years, and we're going to continue to keep our students safe. Another portion of daily operations is communications. I do appreciate the way in which you communicate and the way that we're able to talk and do the things that we need to do. Our primary way of communication, and you've seen that during this time, is Remind. It is an application that you can put on your phone that allows us ease of communication among all the drivers. And we've got you, most of you are signed up for that. If you're a new driver and you've not signed up for Remind, come see me and I will get you signed up on that. It's broken down in different ways. We have a Laurel County Transportation general Remind that goes out to everybody. We've got a North Driver Remind, a South Driver Remind, and then we've got reminds broken down by elementary schools. And so we did this so that there are some things everybody doesn't need to know. If I'm communicating only to bush drivers, then that's the only ones that need to see that. That makes sense why we would break it down. But we'll need to make sure and I'll make sure you're signed up. I'm the one who does it, so we'll make sure that you're signed up for that. The best way to make sure that Remind works accurately is get the app on your phone. It does work with Android and it will work with Apple. Android, there's a few issues. I'll help you work through those. Go to your App Store, go to Google Play Store, and sign up for Remind. There's going to be a logo on the screen that will help you to identify what Remind is. Sign up for that. And you may get a notification if I sign you up or whatever, but download that app. It'll make sure it works. That's one way we communicate. Also, we've got a driver website that we formed, and we're going to put the link up on the screen right now for you to look at and write down. That's where we're communicating a lot of things to drivers. There is so much on that website right now that we're trying to communicate to you. There's all kinds of information about parents, about what students can bring, what they can't bring on the bus. Oh goodness, we put our 8-hour updates. That's where you're probably watching this right now, is on the website. We've got tons of communication for you as an employee. Different types of things we're putting on there, trying to put news out there, keep you up to date. But it's an all-encompassing type of place where we're doing a lot of communication. Is the driver website. The link has been on the screen, so you can go there and see that. Email. Every driver is provided with a school email. I encourage you to sign up for that and use it. It's a great way to communicate. It's separate from everything else. If you're not signed up and you don't have a driver email, come see me. I'll give you the process to sign up, and we'll walk you that as well. Of course, my phone number is posted right now here on the screen. I'm available to you. Call me. If I don't answer, I'll call you back. Text me. Use Remind. Remind is also available. When I send you a Remind, when I send it out to everybody, it goes out to everybody. But when you reply to me, it comes back individually and privately, so nobody else can see your reply. So just remember that. But you can text me, use Remind, call me, whatever you need to do. Again, I'm here for you, and I'll do my best to get back with you as soon as possible. Texting is the best way to get a hold of me. If you need a day off or you're not able to send in an absentee request and it was unexpected absence, text me. That's the surest way to get me and make sure I get that absentee in. The other way we communicate, still talking about communications, is on the radio, of course. Radio is another primary way of communications that we have, and most of you know how to use the radio. Etiquette is in your driver handbook, and included there with the radio procedures and how to speak on the radio. Short transmissions are better on the radio. Please keep your communication on the radio completely professional. Everybody's listening to that. Dr. Bennett, Theron Hurley, the community. It's federally monitored through the FCC. So please keep your communications very professional. Situations with student behavior, and some situations are better done over the phone. Of course, you should not be talking on your phone if you're driving down the road. Pull over to a safe spot, get on the phone, communicate that situation to me, and we'll get you directed and get you help as soon as possible. We want to not breach confidentiality on the radio, and we want to do our best to protect our students and information as much as we can. If you don't have a phone and it's not available where you are, then please use the radio by all means. Report incidences, report whatever you need to report. It's not a problem. But if you do have phones, it is better to communicate situations at times better than the radio. Your radio codes are in your manual. I'm going to be putting them up on the screen right now. Again, as Rob is going to mention, we do have a new code. I'm going to let him talk about that. Make sure that you review the radio codes and are familiar with them, especially in very serious critical situations. Now, just as an overview of what we do, I want to switch gears from communications and talk about just how we're set up in communicating things and where you need to communicate those things at. Still a little bit on communications, but we're set up by departments here. Rob handles training, records, licenses, physicals. All of those things concerning training, licenses, physicals, records are Rob's responsibility. So if you come to me with a license issue or a physical issue or a records issue or training issue, whatever it may be, I'm going to direct you to Rob. Okay, I'm just going to say, go see Rob. He's going to help you. Of course, I handle daily operations. That's going to be all the things that I'm talking about right now. If you've got issues with those, just come see me, and I will do my best to get you what you need. Victoria does special needs and preschool student monitors. If you come to me with those issues, I'm going to send you to Victoria. Mark, of course, is everything with the bus. Repairing, cleaning it, bus issues, whatever they are. We're gonna go to Mark for those issues, because each of these people that I'm mentioning here are subject experts, and they're gonna be able to help you. And of course, Todd is administrative in his role as he's the director over the department. Serious issues, go to him. The whole department, is his responsibility. So he's touching base with us constantly, communicating with us constantly, so that he can administrate our department, and does a great job at it. Thank you, Todd. I'll put a plug in there for you. And let me say this, while I'm on this and while I'm on the departments, I'm very privileged to be able to be a part of this team and work with everyone that is here. I believe that we've grown as a department very, very much. And we are able to communicate with one another. We're able to help one another and support one another. And I'm thankful for the drivers. I'm thankful for the leadership that we have here. And I'm thankful to be part of this team, because I'm telling you, I believe we're in better shape than we've been in a long time. And thank you, everyone, for your part in that. Just try to remember, all these things when you're going about your job duties. If you come to me, drivers, with your situations. If I'm unable to help you, or it's out of my realm of responsibility, I will get you to the person who will get you help, okay? Who can help you if I cannot. And I am limited. There are things that I cannot do, that I should not do. And so we're going to get you to Todd. We're going to get you to Rob, Victoria, Mark, whoever it is, and a principal, whoever needs help, whoever can help you, I'll get them to you, do my best. I want to talk about resources just for a minute. I'm watching my time here, so hopefully we can do this in the time allotted. Resources. You've got a driver handbook. We're going to have a new one this year. The new handbook picture is going to be up there on the screen right now. This is the driver handbook. It'll look a little different for this year. This is your Bible, and I want you to read this year. Go through it. Go through every section. Remind yourself. It's been a while since we've been actively driving, so you'll need to brush up on every skill that you have, including your driving skills, and use this as your Bible. Read it all. There is new information in it, and hopefully that will be highlighted through this 8-hour update, and you will need to read all of it concerning your job responsibilities this year. We've got a driver website. I've already mentioned that. That's one of the resources to help you do your job. There are hard copy forms in this office of everything that you need. If you need a form, a report of any kind, come see me and we'll get that resource to you. I encourage you to keep a copy of this handbook, a code of the student code of conduct, and whatever other forms you need to keep with you on the bus. Resource yourself. Keep that information in front of you and make sure that you are doing what you need to do and you have the proper resources you need to answer questions as they come up. Another resource that we have is the Laurel County Public Schools website. That's the main website that we have in the school system. There is an app for that, so download that app to your phone with notifications of school closings or anything else that we might or might not be dealing with, and we'll make sure those are taken care of. So that's just some resources for you. Also, let me jump back to communications. I forgot a couple of things. When we come back to being normal again, hopefully that's going to happen sooner than later, in the lounge there is a TV that we post daily. We've got announcements running on the TV. Check that TV for announcements. Check with me for announcements, but that TV is there also. Also, I want to ask you to do one thing, and this is kind of housekeeping, but during dispatch from about 6 in the morning till about 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, we are covered up with phone calls and dealing with dispatch. And then in the afternoons from about 2 to 5, we are covered up also at dispatch. So if you have any non-urgent matters, situations going on your bus, anything you need to discuss with me in person or on the phone, please try to do that between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. I do appreciate your help with this because I can't properly deal with things, when we're doing dispatch or we've got other things going on from the period of 6 to 8, 6 to 9, from 2 to 5. It's really hard to deal with situations. So if I tell you we're going to have to do it later and you want to deal with it during that time, I'm just not going to be able to. I've just proven that. I'm a very limited individual. And so if you could deal with those issues between 9 and 2 during the day, I would appreciate it very, very much so that we can give proper time to your issues and your concerns. Another thing I want to talk about right now is professionalism. And professionalism is very important in our job and what we do as bus drivers. Not only concerning administration and our peers and leadership here, but professionalism is important for you as a person, I believe. You have relationships with each other as drivers. You've got relationships with your students. You've got relationship with your principals and the leadership here in transportation. And these relationships are very important. Every relationship I have here at transportation is important and necessary. And what we want to do is make every relationship we have as good as we can. And if we'll communicate with a professional attitude and with professional language and talk to each other and respect one another, it's going to go a long way as far as getting things done, because we've got to keep our students safe. We've got to keep them comfortable. We've got to keep this whole department running and flowing in a manner that's attractive and is quite something that the community can be proud of. So as we act in professional manner and speak in a professional manner and have professional attitudes, we're going to be in control of our emotions. We're going to relate to the people around us properly, including students. We're going to use all the resources that we have within our disposal to do our jobs properly and professionally. We're going to ask for help when needed. Everybody needs help. I need a lot of help. And all the people around me will tell you I need a lot of help, professional and otherwise. And so ask for help. That's what you should do, and it's a professional thing to do when you need it. You are not alone. When you act in a professional manner, people know what to expect from you. When your attitude and your emotions are consistent, it puts people at ease. I don't know if I want to talk to him today or not, because he's going to lose his mind again. You never know what to expect out of him. One day he's depressed, the next day's happy. I don't know. So, don't do that if you can. Try to be in control of your emotions. Try to react in a professional manner, and people know what to expect, which will put them at ease. And know the priorities of your job. That's a professional thing to do. My priority when I'm driving is to keep those students safe, to keep them comfortable, to make sure that I get them home and to the school in as safe as manner as possible, in as most comfortable manner as possible, and help them as much as we can to have a good bus ride every single day, twice a day. Let me go back to talking about discipline and student management. I'm going to try to wrap up here with this, but discipline is something that's hard to achieve. Student management is something that's learned. You're not going to get on a bus and automatically know how to deal with students. Many of us have had kids, and we've had our own kids to raise, but it's a different bird trying to drive a bus and take care of kids in the back. It's one thing to do it in the back of the car seat on vacation. It's a whole nother thing to drive a bus with 60 or 70 kids behind you trying to manage their behavior. Firm, fair, and consistent is the way that we have disciplined and the way that we have managed students in the past in this department, and will continue to do so. Firm, fair, and consistent. Knowing your students and knowing what will motivate them to follow the rules is very important. If you drive a regular route and you're not a sub-driver, you're going to know your students. Knowing them, what motivates them to follow the rules and to exhibit good behavior is a very valuable thing. Treat each student as a person rather than cargo. Make sure that you respect that student, and I know some of their behaviors can be quite challenging for us as adults, but treat them as a person. Realize that there are other things, that they have issues at home, they have issues at school, they've got issues with each other. So please try to remember that and address them as a person. Treat all students the same. That's being fair. Each student needs me to treat them the same. I'm not making differences or preferring a student one over the other, but treat them the same. Also, being good to your word. Students know this. They've been lied to in their life by all kinds of people. And if you say something and you don't do it, they're used to that. So if you say you're going to do something, then do it. Don't say it if you're not going to do it, okay? Please be consistent and be good to your word. If you tell them you're going to write them up, write them up. If you tell them you're going to do something, then do it. Don't delay, and do it quickly. Never communicate when your emotions aren't in control. If you're out of control emotionally, if that student's made you mad, if they have angered you, if they've made you sad, whatever it is, don't communicate right then. Get control of your emotions and then communicate to that student. When you're turning in a write-up, I want to speak to this just for a minute. Please be accurate and succinct. Be specific when you're writing these students up. I need to know, what did they do wrong? What was it they did wrong? How did it break the student code of conduct? Again, get one of these and read through it. But how did it break the student code of conduct? Who did they do it to? Did they just do it by themselves, or was other people involved? Put that name on the write-up. I know Todd said that earlier in the confidentiality training that we were talking about. However, all of the write-ups come directly to me. I put the write-ups into Infinite Campus, or Todd will. But realize that we exclude those names when we put them in. So we are still maintaining confidentiality when we turn those write-ups in. So put the names of the parties that were involved on the back of the write-up. Write it on the back. Write it somewhere. But everybody that was involved in that situation, put their names on the write-ups. When did they do it? Was it in the morning? Was it on the transfer run? Was it in the afternoon run? Provide names on the write-up. And again, I keep it confidential. We track all of these through positive behavior and intervention system and support that we have. So we're tracking this. We're doing the best that we can, and realize that these things are necessary, especially the specific part. You don't have to explain the whole situation to me. I don't need to know the whole realm of the drama. I just need to know what they did wrong, who was involved in it, when did they do it, and provide that on the write-up, and we'll get through the rest of it. If it's anything more than that, put it on an incident report. Never, ever, ever, when dealing with students, use curse words or say derogatory things to students. Please don't do that. It will have serious ramifications for you as an employee, and it could mean your dismissal. I've seen it happen. Don't curse at students. Don't say derogatory things to them. Again, act in a professional manner. Treat them as human beings, and realize we're trying to teach them how to behave on the bus. You don't have. This is very important. I've discovered this over time. I've seen drivers that felt like when they were disciplining the kids, they had to make them physically comply with whatever we're trying to tell them to do. They don't have to comply with what you're asking them to do. That's the reason you're writing them up. So if that student will not comply with your request directly, they won't physically do what you're asking them to do, write them up. Don't worry about it right then. We'll send it to the principal. We'll let him deal with it in whatever way they deem necessary, and then we'll get that student to comply later. Okay, it's not important necessarily that that student physically does what you ask them to do. If they're in a fight and you've got to separate them, of course we need to get them separated on the bus, front to back. They need to physically comply in that situation. But in most situations, don't worry about it. Let it go. Tell them whatever you need to tell them 2 or 3 times. If they won't do it, write them up. We'll deal with it later. The write-up is the tool that you have to get students to comply. Realize that. That's your tool to get them to comply. And please exercise patience when you are turning these things in. Allow the principal to work with the situation. Sometimes it takes days. It's so many hours are expended in write-ups. It's unbelievable to me how many hours we spend in this district on disciplinary actions and write-ups and all these things, but it's necessary. Everything has to happen. It's got to be documented. If it's not documented, it didn't happen. And so it's very important that we document this on the write-up. A write-up serves for several purposes. One is we want to get the student to comply and teach them proper behavior, obviously. The write-up also serves as a written, signed document of that behavior. It serves as a document that shows that you're actively involved in student management, and it also documents that behavior, gives us times, places, and what happened, and in an official manner. So please give the principals, please give us time to deal with these things, and we will. You will see results eventually. It may take several write-ups. Principals are constrained, and know your special needs students on your bus. Okay, special needs students they restrain them to about 10 days of discipline for any kind of behavior at the school and on the bus. So realize with your special needs students, you're going to need to get creative in your seating. You're going to have to put them in a place where you can manage them properly, mainly towards the front of the bus, and you're just going to have to be a little bit creative there. But do be patient, because these do take more time. Suspensions. Here's what happens when a student is suspended off the bus. We report that back to you. If they ride, report that to me. I'll report that to the principal. The principal will then call the parents about the suspension, and it's at that point when we've contacted the parents that we will not let that student ride again until the suspension is over. So now you can say, hey, you can't ride the bus because you've been suspended, and we can't let you on. So another thing that I failed to mention when I was doing the document portion of this training was seating charts. Seating charts are required for every bus, and we're going to change it up a little bit this year. Seating charts will be required. An update of your seating chart will be required once a month at the first of every month, and I'll need a new seating chart for your bus, an updated seating chart, which if you're managing this on a daily basis, it's a little bit more, but really it's going to save us, and principals ask for these things. They require them. They want to know where these students are seated, and I want to be able to turn in a seating chart that's up to date, and we're going to make those due by the 1st of September, okay? So another thing that I want to mention that we've had issues with in the past is that no adult is allowed on the bus at any time. Parents or anybody else, they should not cross that white line at the door. If they do, they're breaking the law. As a matter of fact, if a parent comes all the way to the top step of the bus and steps in the driver area, they could actually be charged with a felony. So make sure if you need to communicate with a parent that you get them to the window side of the bus, communicate with them through the driver window. Never let them on the bus. It's okay to shut the door on them. It may make them mad, but ask them to come to the window if they want to communicate. I can give you my card to give to that parent if you don't have time to go through the whole thing and communicate right there, which you don't. You take my card, give it to them, and say, here, call my supervisor, and he'll be able to help you. Please do that. Also, never get off your bus with students on it, okay? Stay on your bus at all times with your students. If you need assistance at a school, call for a teacher or principal to come watch your students so that you can deal with whatever you need to deal with and that type of thing. So I know I have thrown a ton of things at you. I hope I've covered everything. I've done my best. I'm going over my notes right here with this, but hopefully I've caught most of it. And as we said earlier, you know, we don't know what's going to happen this year. We're still waiting for we're still waiting on word as actually how the school year is going to begin. But I would encourage you to go through this 8-hour update, glean everything you can from it, read your driver manual when you get that in your hands, refresh yourself on the procedures, get ready to drive that bus again with students on it, and hopefully, you know, we'll know as soon as possible so that we can communicate to you. Listen, I appreciate your time, and I certainly appreciate the job that you do, the care that you take of the bus, the students, and your job, and for doing, you know, what you're asked to do. It's wonderful to work with people that work together and have a good attitude about it. So listen, we appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of the summer. Stay tuned. Watch your reminds. I'm sure they're going to be coming soon and frequently. So anyway, we appreciate you. Have a great one. God bless you.